Well, good morning. I was going to do this in my robe, but I thought, you know what, I'll break with tradition. Anyway, the reason is that it's early in the morning. Actually, I've had a full night of sleep for the first time in 5 or 6 months, I think. Slept 8 hours solid, give or take, about an hour. I think it was 7, to be honest. Usually I can't sleep more than 4, so yeah. Anyway, trying to present a new shtick, I guess. This is an argument, a formal argument. Well, it's kind of informal at this point because it's not completely and fully supported, but it's the rough sketch. So, the argument is called "How Obama Killed Christopher Dorner." Christopher Dorner was murdered. Christopher Dorner, as you may recall, was the ex-LAPD, ex-military, who declared a rampage war against the LAPD for the corruption. And I mean, the media tells you that he was this murderous guy and he probably deserved his eye, but they kind of said the same thing about other things as well. But we'll go over that later. You know, I listened to the scanner recordings of the final moments, the shootout, whatever, and I heard them say that you got the burners. Yeah, we're gonna burn the cabin down. You know, we're gonna burn it like we talked about before. Now that indicates planning. That indicates conspiracy. It's Penal Code, California Penal Code 182 specifies that conspiracy is anybody talking about doing something before it happens, which is the dictionary definition of conspiracy. And it's also it's first-degree murder when you conspire to murder someone. And when you are part of an operation or part of a plan, part of an operation that is planned to kill someone, you too are guilty of first-degree murder. So I guess this is two arguments. This is an argument of how LAPD, or how all of the cops involved in the shootout, are guilty of first-degree murder under special circumstances, which if you and I were involved, we would be put on death row. We would be charged with first-degree murder and put on death row for special circumstances. Yet these people are rewarded and hailed as heroes. Anyway, so to the argument, the actual argument. Sorry, I do get distracted easily. Be patient with me. So how Obama killed Christopher Dorner. Well, last year, about May something, early May, Obama ordered the raid on the compound that bin Laden was hiding in. That raid resulted in his death. If anyone doesn't think that death was ordered, you're a fool. I'm sorry, but the death was ordered. Whether or not it was ordered is irrelevant to the argument, however, because Obama ordered a raid, bin Laden died. Therefore, in the minds of the public, which is all that matters here, bin Laden, or Obama, ordered the death of bin Laden. Obama ordered death of bin Laden. They're two separate things, but the minds of people put them together. So in the minds of people, Obama ordered the death of bin Laden. The death of bin Laden was a violation of standing American principles of justice. Now, we live in a country that has traditionally, before, say, Bush, prided itself on bringing people to justice, giving people a fair trial. Remember those days? Remember way back when, about 5 years ago? Maybe, 15 actually at this point, if you want to really dig deep. But way back when, most of you kids don't remember this, but way back when we used to advocate for justice. You know, we would, O.J. Simpson, he was brought to justice. You know, a complete opposite of Christopher Dorner. You know, here's a guy who's guilty as sin, and the LAPD can't even convict the guy. You know, so those principles of justice, long-standing principles of justice, that we bring people to justice. We are not judge, jury, executioner. This is not Wyatt Earp. This is not the Wild West of America anymore. We grew out of that phase for a while. And those principles existed. Let's see. So the next step in the argument, Obama is a leader to whom people look for approval. I don't need to support that argument, do I? We elected him, all of us. And yes, those of you who didn't vote for him also elected him. It's called a democracy. It means you're a slave to the majority opinion. Look it up. Law enforcement was influenced by the death of bin Laden as tacitly approved by presidential authority. So in the minds of, remember I told you about in the minds of law enforcement, the death of bin Laden was ordered by the president. Simple, illogical conclusion, but it is nonetheless a conclusion. So law enforcement was inspired by this. So the reason that this works the way it does is because in the back of people's minds, when there's a split-second decision to make, an important decision that you don't have time to think about, you go to the knowledge you have, and you look for, actually, not me, you and everyone else out there looks for approval in information that's out there. You don't look for the truth, you just look for what you want to find. And because this is trained into people's minds these days, so that's part of the argument, this is trained into people's minds, the tendency is to just look for approval. Not look for whether it's right or wrong, just look for approval. That's part of moral reasoning, that's part of the proof. So law enforcement was in fact influenced by the death of bin Laden, as tacitly approved. The death of bin Laden was tacitly approved by presidential authority. Tacitly means more than just the president, by the way. Because the final stage of the argument, we've concluded already that bin Laden's death, or Obama killed Christopher Dorner because he publicly stated that he ordered the death of bin Laden, the raid which resulted in the death of bin Laden. So in the public's mind, Obama ordered the death of bin Laden. And Mr. Obama, you killed Christopher Dorner because you killed Osama bin Laden. Because you didn't bring bin Laden to justice, Christopher Dorner was not brought to justice. Didn't think you'd be killing your fellow black man, did you? I know you never intended to, but you did. Sorry. Okay, so two other things to go over. One is that Obama is not a legitimate president anyway. And I don't mean because of his birth certificate or any crap like that. This is fact. You can verify this yourself. April 2011, the budget called H.R. 1473. You can look this up online. You can look up the text of it online. Or you can read my articles on my contributor page. If you search for an article called, in quotes, Celebrating the Demise of Justice, that's my article about the death of bin Laden. The death of justice, I should say. But, excuse me. Still waking up. Sorry, I'm not being rude. Gas is actually a medical issue with me, and it's quite painful. Anyway, so on H.R. 1473, there's a addendum, a rider called the Tester-Simpson rider, written by a senator and representative from Idaho and Wyoming, that twice blatantly violated Article 3 of the Constitution, which says that you have the right to take Congress to court to determine the constitutionality of any act. And they denied you that privilege. And if they deny you that privilege, they deny you democracy. They deny you justice, because where do you go to determine if something's constitutional? The courts, the justice system. So you were dictated to and deprived of justice by an act of Congress that was voted on by a majority of senators and representatives and approved by President Obama in violation of his oath of office, a crime punishable by impeachment. I'm sorry, Mr. President Obama. I have the utmost respect for your position, but not your actions at this point. You are not an inspiring leader. You are not what this country needs. I wrote you a letter through 15 embassies outlining what you need to do to fix this country. Yes, I'm very serious about it. Yes, it will work. How about trying it? I don't know the second part to the argument, and I saved it for last for a reason. So we went over that law enforcement was influenced by the death of bin Laden as tacitly approved by a presidential authority, and then proceeded to kill Christopher Dorner because of this, at least in significant part. However, you played a role too, because you didn't object to the death of bin Laden. You helped celebrate it, didn't you? Didn't realize you'd be celebrating the demise of justice. You didn't realize you'd be celebrating the death of countless Americans, because police have been given tacit authority to be judge, jury, and executioner now. You saw this happen with the Dorner case. You saw them shoot 60 bullets, 60 some odd bullets into the truck of two innocent Latino women who were delivering newspapers in the neighborhood of one of the targets mentioned by Dorner. Look at all of the resources put into catching a person who killed 3 people. Or no, he killed 2 people, then a cop. Ooh, that's when it ends. You don't kill a cop. But you accept that cops should be given preferential treatment over yourself? You accept their undeniable authority? You accept what they say as truth? And you, worst of all, accept what the media tells you is truth through these events. Media is jumped all over the excuses made by San Bernardino County Sheriff and LAPD and everyone else about why they would shoot without questioning, without even positive identification, anyone that even resembled Dorner. The Wildlife Service's law enforcement officers that shot him when he was in the white truck. They shot him without even identifying him positively. What if it was someone else in some other white pickup truck? Could have easily been an innocent victim. And you accept what happened. Just take it for granted. Yes, this argument was called How Obama Killed Christopher Dorner. But I couldn't call it How You Killed Christopher Dorner and still have you watch it, could I?